The U.S. men's soccer team is in the Sweet 16 of the World Cup for the first time since 2002. They shut out Bosnia 2-0 in Santa Clara to move past the round of 32. The U.S. plays Belgium Monday night in Seattle. The Dodgers are back in town tonight to start a 10-game homestand. They're coming off a 7-2 road trip. The Dodgers take on San Diego tonight in the first game of a 4-game series. The Padres are 12 games behind the Dodgers in the NL West. The Dodgers still have the best record in Major League Baseball at 56-31. On the first day of free agency in the NBA, the Lakers did not waste any time to rebuild their roster after being kicked to the curb by LeBron. The Lakers made a trade for Utah's 7-foot center Walker Kessler and signed 3 veteran forwards as free agents. As for LeBron, NBA sources claim the 23-year veteran is going to take his time before deciding on his new team. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. The headline in the newspaper read, Black leaders join forces to bring Destination Crenshaw toward the finish line. Now, beyond the headline phraseology of toward the finish line, if you actually read the article, it said that Black-owned contractors are now being mobilized, major new financing is being secured, and it is anticipated that construction activities will begin within the next weeks. That statement has more hedges than a Beverly Hills mansion, more hedges than a nervous groom's wedding vows written by a divorce lawyer. But it's funny how progress starts moving once somebody turns on a microphone. 4 weeks of KBLA editorials, and suddenly everyone has found their hard hats. It's amazing what happens when the community starts asking questions out loud, and this is why Black media matters. We don't need more empty promises. We need a finished project. Political accountability to Black fellow citizens means that elected officials and institutions must answer for their actions or inaction in ways that are real, measurable, and consequential when they fail to follow through. I suppose the good news here is that LA City Council President and 8th District Representative Marquise Harris Dawson is now officially on the record. But to be clear, he's also on the clock. Remember now, it is anticipated that construction activities will begin within the next weeks. We shall see. We have exercised our right to free speech, but there are other rights the Black business community can exercise as well. This is a classic example of a public nuisance claim if ever there was one. Again, we shall see. What I can tell you is that Black business owners and Crenshaw community residents have been calling, emailing, and literally showing up in our lobby demanding more and asking how they can sign on to this effort. Put simply, after years of delay, the people have had enough. My big mama put it this way: once a task you have first begun, never finish until it is done. Be the labor great or small, do it well or not at all. Now, I need to put on my hard hat, go outside, and wait for these procrastination Crenshaw construction crews to show up. I'll let you know if and when they do. Trust and believe. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Junior show. The Jesse Jackson Junior show. The Jesse Jackson Junior show. The Jesse Jackson Junior show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA. Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Thought Provoking Thursday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 48 hours away from the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. not quite the founding of the nation itself, which was the Constitution of the United States on September 17, 1787, but one way or the other, the foundation of America was set July 4th, 1776, when Thomas Jefferson etched the immortal words in the Declaration of Independence that all men, and of course, yes, women, are created equal. We'll be discussing America's unfinished assignment, re-educating ourselves on democracy in this hour on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And on Thought Provoking Thursdays, our regular contributor is Atiba, former Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. He's Strategic Alliance Consultant and President of Party Politics US. He has been leading a national effort to educate people about the importance of engaging in the midterm elections. Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and our conversation with Atiba. How are you, Atiba? I think you have to unmute, brother.
Good, Jesse. How are you?
Doing great, brother. Atiba, first of all, grateful for the opportunity to have this conversation with you before the 250th anniversary this coming Saturday, July 4th, at a moment that Americans are struggling with a number of issues, from housing to groceries to healthcare to childcare to education. You make the argument that America's unfinished assignment is re-educating ourselves for democracy. Atiba, share with us your thinking.
Yeah, my thinking is that there have been so many different things that have happened over the course of our 250-year history that has moved us forward, and yet there are still things that keep moving us backwards. And when you look at history and you look at, let's go back to the beginning when only white male landowners could vote. So that excluded other white males, let alone those who were enslaved, Native Americans, etc. And over the course of time, we've constantly been fighting this battle for inclusion. And yet when we keep making these jumps, or we win some battles, somehow we end up back here. And I can just say as quickly as possible that if you look at where we were in 2008, some people thinking that we have moved to this post-racial society, and yet here we are 18 years later, and we're battling things that were happening 50, 60 years ago. The way that we continue to fall backwards is when we get out of being a part of what we like to believe is a representative democratic government. It happened in the 80s, it's happened in the 90s, it's happened now, it's happened all the way back in time. And when I often bring up Congressman John Lewis, it is because of the reminder of not only how hard they fought to earn us the right to vote, but because of where we have evolved to, where we have taken that vote for granted. And that if we want to continue to move the country forward to becoming this more perfect union that we believe that our founding fathers promised, it has to be that all of us stay engaged, and we have to figure out ways that we build coalitions as opposed to falling into the divisions.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We are discussing on our show today America's unfinished assignment, re-educating ourselves about democracy in our conversation with Atiba. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Wishing happy birthday to KBLA. 5 years old, yeah, with more that's coming your way. Congratulations, come on y'all, let's celebrate. Happy birthday to KBLA. 5 years deep and we're still going up. Built it from the ground, never real, no one else. Real talk on the air, then the truth get heard. Every day the proof getting served. He had a vision and he stayed with the plan. Now they tapped in from the beach to the land. Never back down, 7 days of the week, still going up now. We 5 years deep. Wishing happy birthday to KBLA. Happy smiling, you did it with 5 years today. Congratulations, come on y'all, let's celebrate. Happy birthday to KBLA.
I love days like these at the pool, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. I'm ready to make a splash with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza. Skyrizi is a prescription-only injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. At 4 months, most people saw 90% clearer skin when measured from head to toe, and many were even 100% plaque-free. People also saw significant improvement in psoriasis symptoms of pain, redness, itching, and burning.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Now there's nothing on my skin thanks to Skyrizi, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
See website for details. MyFastCash.com is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old. Not available in all states.
The mechanic called. The repair's going to be $750.
Oh, we got rent and the car payment. On top of groceries, gas, and other bills. We don't have an extra $750 right now.
We could try MyFastCash.com. When short on expenses, you can go to MyFastCash.com and can get money as soon as the next day.
MyFastCash.com?
Yes, they can connect you to one of the largest lender networks, and you can get a loan even with bad credit. We could be approved for up to $5,000 fast.
$5,000? That must be a long process.
Nope, approval can happen in just a few minutes right from your phone, and funds could hit our account by tomorrow.
If you have a regular source of income and a bank account, you could be approved for up to $5,000, even with bad credit history. And the cash can hit your bank account the next day.
Honey, I'm going to myfastcash.com right now.
Thank goodness.
If you need extra cash, go to myfastcash.com. That's myfastcash.com. myfastcash.com.
Loan availability, approval, and funding times vary. Terms apply.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We are celebrating in some of our answers and commemorating in others of our answers the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. Our very special regular contributor in this thought-provoking Thursday is our conversation that we have with Atiba. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Jesse, great to be here.
Atiba, can I challenge a common assumption before we get to some of these questions about what Americans are really asking? I'm not so sure that the founding fathers are responsible for the establishment of a democracy. In your opening thoughts, you indicated that white male landowners could vote, but not other white men. Native Americans and African Americans were denied the franchise along with women. At that time, as in now, probably half, if not more, of the population. When Benjamin Franklin exits the convention, Mrs. Powell asks him the question, well, what have y'all been meeting for a few days now, but what have y'all created for us? And he responded, a republic if you all can keep it. A republic, not a democracy. Now, this is September 17th, 1787. So there is no Bill of Rights until 1791. So there's no freedom of speech. There's no gun, musket ownership. There's no due process under the Fourth and Fifth Amendment type due process. I'm not discussing 14th Amendment due process because there's no 14th Amendment. There are reasonable searches and seizure expectations, probable cause, all the way up to even something I protest every single show, the 10th Amendment, states' rights, which the slaveholders, basically held on to their power by using the state legal systems to justify it. But the democracy really starts with one, bringing a caste of people, the newly freed slave, into the system. We needed the 13th Amendment for that. We needed equal protection of the laws and birthright citizenship, the 14th Amendment for that. guaranteeing the franchise for African American men in the 15th Amendment, and then in the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to check the republic by giving them the right to vote in the 19th Amendment. And then this whole generation of X, Y, and Z, these young people getting the right to vote with the 26th Amendment to the Constitution. And that was a process. It's a process to make America a democracy. And I'm not so sure that we do ourselves justice when we say the founding fathers brought on these shores democracy. They simply did not. They did not. We amended America into a democracy. And with that said, all of those of us who've been left out of the original deal here in the United States, you raise certain questions that the American people at this hour are asking. And the only way you're arguing that we hold the system accountable is by voting and participating in the midterms. Can we go through some of those questions, what Americans are really asking, Atiba?
Sure. But so you start off asking, could you ask a question? Yes, you can ask a question, Jesse. Thank you for it in terms of how you just put that. And, you know, we can get into the weeds and talk about what the founding fathers did or they didn't do. Are we living today in a democratic society? Many of us would hope that we are, but we also know that we are losing a battle. The country was created first because of a Declaration of Independence that we never called exactly what it was. It was a declaration of war. We also don't go back and look at what the compromises that took place and how we even got into the language of that all men are created equal. And you can't do that without going back to Jefferson's notes and Jefferson's what he actually submitted to the, at the time, Continental Congress, which actually talked about the king was waging war against human nature itself and violating its most sacred rights of life and liberty. So the language in itself that begins in the Declaration of War, the Declaration of Independence, actually started because or came about or was inspired by with language that actually was because of the moral issue of slavery. But we never talk about it from that standpoint. So when I'm saying in terms of this piece, and you mentioned caste, and I loved reading Isabel Wilkerson's Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents, because one of the things she does is invites us to consider that this is an unfinished challenge. And it's an unfinished challenge and an unfinished question, and it never is a question that I believe ever actually gets answered. And that's the beauty of it, that it continues to evolve, because if it didn't, then in 1776, and to where we are today, we would still be living in a slavery society. And so the genius of the document of the Declaration of Independence, the genius of the Constitution isn't what it didn't do, it's what it allowed us to still be able to do. And unfortunately, because we don't stay engaged in the democratic process, we lose control of state legislatures. We lose control of our cities. We lose control of our Congress. And now we lose control of the presidency. So in terms of all of those things wrapped into this, there are so many different schools of thought. But the one is that with a representative government and a president and a state legislature, we have all of these different ways of being represented. But it's not just about being represented. It's about what role you play in that representation. So when I talk about voting, it's not just about voting, Jesse. That's just the beginning part. The education part is the civics lesson about how we continue to push forward an agenda that works for us. But it doesn't work if you just think it's supposed to work for one community. It has to be one that works for America so that it fits and addresses the needs of the communities.
I have 5 questions that I'd like to ask you. What to the person who is trying to raise their family, who's asking questions about affordability in raising their family, what to that family is the meaning of July 4th, 2026?
I don't know how I can define for them what it is. What I can say is they can ask the question of how do I fit? Not just as an individual, because part of where I think we continue to go wrong in this country is we continue to look at me and we've forgotten about we. We becomes an issue when 9/11 happens. We becomes an issue when we are attacked as a nation. But within our internal internal struggles or battles becomes we're fighting every day. We're fighting amongst each other, and we're literally fighting for an idea of apple pie. And the fight that we find ourselves embroiled in often is that the pie never reaches us. We're just fighting over the crumbs. That's what I think the family that is trying to figure out how they're going to pay their groceries, how they're going to do these other things, can be asking themselves, because it's not a white, black, brown or issue. It is a poor or rich issue. And what is under attack today, if you go back to the previous administration that came up with a language that I thought was brilliant, Build Back Better after COVID, the one in which it was a battle for the soul of America, we got so caught up and entrenched in the ideas of like my rights and not about my pocket. And that's what I think is a big issue today.
I want to ask the 5 questions with complete transparency that you sent me. Here's number 2. What does the meaning of July 4th, 2026 mean to a person who's asking themselves the question, can I buy a home?
Many people can't. And so the question then becomes, well, what and how do we change that so that I can? The farmer who is in middle America, who is struggling to keep his farm or her farm afloat, is no different than the woman or the man in an urban center who is going to work every day trying to keep their home. More than likely, a person in an urban area may be of African descent, and the one in middle America may be of European descent. Same issue, affordability. So what is July 4th to them? It's the same. It's the same thing. Is America really helping, or is my disengagement or not being involved in this process and recognizing that my issues are similar to your issues part of the grand solution to how we make America work for us?
A third question. What is the meaning of the 4th of July in 2026 for the person who is fearful and raising the questions about access to healthcare? How are they looking at this July 4th, Atiba?
I hope that they're looking at how some of the decisions in past elections led to there being elected officials who are in position to make sure that they have affordable health care, who have made decisions that have caused their healthcare premiums and healthcare costs to rise.
There's an accountability in there. There's an accountability to those
There has to
officials.
be.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Will my children have more opportunities than I did? Meaning that in the 61 years that I've enjoyed July 4ths, and my son is 22, my daughter is 25, I certainly get the impression, Atiba, that they don't see, and I certainly don't see, that their lives are going to be a better improvement than mine own. My son said to me the other day, he happens to be in town, so this house right here is my inheritance, huh? I said, wait a minute. I'm still here. I'm still alive. Why are you referring to my home as your inheritance? Of course, it's his inheritance. But given the nature, I think the point that you're making here, given the nature of the economy on July 4th, 2026, we are turning to our parents, essentially asking them, when are y'all getting out of here? so I can start to live. I was kind of offended when my son did that. Atiba, what did the meaning? What does July 4th mean to a college graduate who is who's struggling to find a home when their parents actually own homes?
Jesse, I remember when I was probably around your son's age, and I remember hearing the debates that were going on in Congress under President Clinton about the deficit. And the argument was, we can't kick the can down the road because it's going to affect the next generation. Well, the truth is we did kick the can down the road, and now we've caught up to the can, and the next generation is not going to be better off than our generation or the generations before.
And that definitely, I think, is a factor in what's taking place in some of these upsets that are taking place around the country. Last question before we come forward. Are our children asking the question, can they retire with dignity on July 4th, 2026? Or are all of us, Atiba, asking the same question, can I retire with dignity? Which means, therefore, it was lost even before we had our children, this question of dignity and retirement.
I think you and I might be thinking about retirement, but I think that the generation that you're talking about is really just trying to figure out how to survive.
I think that's very insightful. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, we're going to be talking about labels dividing us and dividing the people. Atiba makes the argument that we need to move beyond labels and see people as people on July 4th, 2026. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're in conversation with Atiba. Looking forward to continuing our conversation when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling is stepping down July 13th after 38 years on the force.
When we've already had countless team trends, street takeovers, multiple mass shootings.
Alderman Ray Lopez praised Snelling's work but says the timing is bad with summer shootings and teen gatherings on the rise. A federal judge is blocking President Trump's order restricting mail-in ballots from being carried out nationwide. Trump signed the order earlier this year ahead of the midterms, prompting lawsuits from Democratic-led states and the NAACP. A Washington, D.C. judge ruled Wednesday that the Postal Service cannot enforce the order in any state. And Tennessee Republican Senate leaders are asking Governor Bill Lee to halt executions after a failed lethal injection attempt. Prison staff were unable to execute Tony Carruthers, who was black, on May 21st, prompting Lee to call it off and grant a one-year reprieve. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
PCH is open. Take the 101 freeway to Canaan Road. Malibu is open for business. Enjoy a scenic drive through the mountains and return to the beautiful beach. A beach day is always a better day. It's open and waiting for you.
Sponsored by Recreation Alliance.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The U.S. men's soccer team is in the Sweet 16 of the World Cup for the first time since 2002. They shut out Bosnia 2-0 in Santa Clara to move past the round of 32. The U.S. plays Belgium Monday night in Seattle. The Dodgers.
Just give me a heads up when you for their actions or inaction in ways that are real, measurable, and consequential when they fail to follow through. I suppose the good news here is that LA City Council President and 8th District Representative Marquise Harris Dawson is now officially on the record. But to be clear, he's also on the clock. Remember now, it is anticipated that construction activities will begin within the next weeks. We shall see. We have exercised our right to free speech, but there are other rights the Black business community can exercise as well. This is a classic example of a public nuisance claim, if ever there was one. Again, we shall see. What I can tell you is that Black business owners and Crenshaw community residents have been calling, emailing, and literally showing up in our lobby demanding more and asking how they can sign on to this effort. Put simply, after years of delay, the people have had enough. My big mama put it this way: once a task you have first begun, never finish until it is done. Be the labor great or small, do it well or not at all. Now, I need to put on my hard hat, go outside, and wait for these procrastination Crenshaw construction crews to show up. I'll let you know if and when they do. Trust and believe. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the J Lunch Club on Thought Provoking Thursday. In the next hour, we will be in the World House with preeminent Martin Luther King Jr. scholar, Dr. Johnny Mack. Also joining us in that hour is the preeminent Howard Thurman scholar, Dr. Walter Fluker. We're going to bring Dr. King and Dr. Fluker back together through those men who have studied them most for the purposes of determining the answer to the question, to what does the meaning of the 4th of July mean for the American Negro today? I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are presently in our conversation with Atiba. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Good to be here, Jesse.
Atiba, you make the argument that one could argue that labels are dividing us. Another could argue that people are dividing us. And of course, the argument exists that both are. Atiba, the language you use shapes the world that we build. Can you explain to our listeners what you're trying to say to us?
I guess the question is also, are we still defining people by categories instead of our common humanity?
Interesting.
And, you know, I feel that if we look at it from that standpoint, then the labels are, you know, we use in this country, progressive, conservative, liberal. We categorize ourselves by the colors that we see on our skin that don't even really reflect our colors of our skin, but they reflect the way that the system categorizes us. And I think that those things are hurting us, particularly in this country.
When labels become more important than people, you argue that democracy suffers. I remember being on Capitol Hill, and I was always referred to as a liberal Democrat, and I almost always corrected people. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Don't call me something. What is that? You're putting me over here with Jerry Nadler. You're putting me over here with Nancy Pelosi. I smoke cigars with Henry Hyde. It takes two wings to fly this plane. He represents the right wing. I represent the left wing, but it takes two wings to get us where we're going. So I work with Henry Hyde. I work with some fairly conservative people in the Congress to get some things done for my constituents on the south side of Chicago. Are labels, from your perspective, Atiba, truly that limiting? And I pushed back on it, but I'm suggesting to you that many of our people and many people in our country don't push back on the labels.
Yeah, I think it hurts us. I understand the need. There's a human need to feel part of something. Part of it, everyone's looking for their tribe. I look at life like that God made us in nations and tribes for us to get to know one another. So if I'm just comfortable with my tribe and I'm not getting to know another tribe, then I don't know if I'm helping humanity. Maybe I'm comfortable here, but I don't know if that necessarily helps. And that's what we have in America is we have a lot of different tribes. Ironically, that the first people that we know that we recognize here were Native Americans who had tribes. And we've done the same thing. We've created these different tribes and we're fighting each other. And what I said earlier about the apple pie, we're literally fighting for crumbs when the pie is being taken by a minority of people who don't have a label, unless you want to call them billionaires, and some people use oligarchs or what have you. But again, it's pitting us against one another. So I think part of our unfinished assignment is redefining what it means, not just to be an American, but what it means to be a human being and to live and to coexist. I mean, here's a question. What happens when one tribe has a doctrine to conquer other tribes and take what they have as their own? Well, that's why tribes fight. And sometimes fighting is necessary. I'm not here to say that we don't fight. What I'm saying is, how do we fight with some sense of purpose to try to show that, hey, there's a better way, as opposed to saying there's only my way? Because I think that's really where we keep going, where people are saying, oh, well, I'm against this woke culture. Why do I want to be asleep? Because, I love this thing that Muhammad Ali used to say, if you want to see your dream come true, and people talk about the American dream, isn't that what the 4th of July really was about, this dream of what America could look like? He said, wake up. And, I think that being awoke, in my opinion, is about how we're recognizing that our divisions continue to pull us in a deeper abyss of despair in this country, and that we have not found, and this goes back to, because I still believe, though we had Reconstruction, this country has never truly rectified the ills of its past, of how it robbed the nation of Native Americans, how it kidnapped people who were just chilling in Africa. When I say chilling, I mean they were minding their own business, or women who were and still are fighting for a decent wage. Ultimately, when you ask the question, and I know in a previous show from Frederick Douglass, the question, what to the slave is the 4th of July, I beg to say that all of us have become enslaved by a system that has hoodwinked us into believing that we are free, and we're not free, because we're enslaved by a culture of want of me, and not one that is empowering us and opening us up to recognize that the feeling we had, the majority of Americans had in November of 2008, was not because me voted for Barack Obama. We voted for Barack Obama across sections of ethnicity and politics and sexual orientation, etc.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are in conversation with Atiba. More when we come forward on the 250th anniversary of America, right here at KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
Listen up, KBLA delegation. We have something you need to hear. Right now, you may qualify for low-cost home internet. We're not talking about a catch. This is real. Many internet service providers offer low-cost internet plans if anyone in your household is enrolled in CalFresh, Medi-Cal, SSI, or is income eligible. There are a lot of families in our community who deserve to be connected. Here's all you do. Call 844-461-7893. That's the Get Connected call center. Real people ready to help you enroll today. Or go online to internetforallnow.org to find a provider near you. You may also qualify for a low-cost computer through Human IT. Connectivity is not a luxury. In 2026, it's a necessity, and you deserve access just like everybody else. Call 844-461-7893. That's 844-461-7893. KBLA's got you. If you missed any of this, you can always go to our website at KBLA1580.com. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 in partnership with the California Emerging Technology Fund, CETF.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. The midterm election campaign season is here now. The 2028 presidential election is right around the corner. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. It's all in for 2026 and 2028. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Atiba worked as a TV political contributor for BNC News, The Heat, In the Know with Mo, The Leslie Marshall Show, and the One America News Network. He most recently was a guest host on Rising, an American daily news and opinion web series produced by Washington, D.C.'s political newspaper, The Hill. Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and our weekly conversation.
Thanks for having me, Jesse.
Atiba, let me ask you this question. I mean, in the final analysis, in this system, we function profoundly as individuals. One of the exciting things about the work that you have been bringing forward to the American people, emphasizing the importance of elections and the importance of the midterms, is that through voting, while you may be a Baptist and I may be a Catholic, You may be a Jewish or Muslim or Christian, but when we cast our vote, when we cast and use the franchise, and when votes are tallied on election day, in ways that we may not recognize in the grocery store, or ways that we may not recognize when we're sitting next to someone on the bus riding the L, or on the subway, or on the D train, we get to look up and see the numbers of people who identify with many of the issues we believe in based upon their participation in the process. And that too is part of the genius of America, that we can vote. You've made the argument that midterms effing matter. On this, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, or as you said, the declaration of war that led to our independence, what to the voter today is the meaning of the 4th of July?
Well, on the surface, the meaning is it's a day to watch fireworks, eat hot dogs, have some apple pie. That's on the surface. I mean, people are going to get together, hopefully in families or what have you. But the issue that comes from that is, how much does it cost for those hot dogs? How much does it cost for those fireworks? How much does it cost? Do you have the money to pay for those things? And if you're paying for them after the 4th, will you have the money to go forward? And I think, in terms of with voting, and I'm very, very open about saying this, that I think about the way that I do about voting because of the late Congressman John Lewis, who wrote in my book, To Atiba, with faith and hope, keep your eyes on the prize. Well, I think that within this country, and that I definitely still am hopeful. I still have faith in God that these things that are happening today are meant to teach us something. And I believe that the lesson is that we have to come together. My hope is that people don't allow themselves to become so hurt, and that they stop asking first whether a solution is liberal or conservative or progressive or what have you. That in order for us to move forward, the vote is important. And it's important because there were so many people that not only fought and gave their lives and got hurt in the process of helping us get the right to vote, but the vote is important because in 2008, we saw something monumental happen, historic happen. And then, as Gina says, we assumed we were good. And we got upset in some ways because in 8 years, some things didn't happen that we thought should have happened in an 8-year period. And the realization is you need to be able to continue the work. So the 8 years that happened under President Obama, and so for some people in some communities, it felt like in 2016, those things went backwards. In 2020, it felt like, okay, we can go forward. And then 2024, some people feel as if we've gone backward. And no one wants to take any responsibility for it. But I believe that a large part of the responsibility, Jesse, is not something that happened in 2008 or 2016 or 2020 or 2024. It's something that was happening long before that. There became a progression. And that progression was taking our votes for granted. Ourselves, as well as elected officials who made us as voters feel disenchanted, that felt that we were sending people to office, but they weren't making our lives better.
I think that's particularly profound at this hour. So there is this accountability factor in your approach and your thinking about this July 4th being unlike any other that we've ever experienced.
I think that when I'm looking back at history and I'm looking at the 60s and I'm looking at Freedom Summer and I'm looking at the Freedom Rides and I'm looking at the March on Washington and civil rights legislation being passed, of people being killed, I'm looking, and I'm unfortunate, and it hurts me to say that this summer feels like history rhyming maybe not repeating itself, but rhyming. And that this may be our last chance to come together, and we may not have this chance for a long time. And I don't like to talk about things in this kind of a way. I want to be more optimistic, and my optimism is, and my hope is that when we use a term like midterms effing matter, we're using it to shock. We're using it because we want you to believe that I have the audacity to wear this across my chest. I have the audacity to believe that I still have an opportunity to affect a positive movement within this country. But the recognition is also, I can't do it by myself.
And that's the e pluribus unum part of July 4th, that we, through many, we become one. And that sense of oneness has somehow disappeared going into this July 4th celebration. The idea that we all start out from different places. My dad would say it this way, that some of us came over as pilgrims, some of us came over on slave ships, but we're all in the same boat right now. We're all on the same ship right now, the great ship America. And which way she goes, how she blows, how she tilts, how she leans, how she turns is a factor in our own thinking and who we are and what we want to become. Atiba, we have about 2 minutes before we come forward. Your final thoughts, a word of hope on this July 4th.
Yeah, I'm going to start this off today with a quote, something that my great grandmother used to always say. And it was, it's a good thing to remember, but a better thing to do. Always hang with the construction gang and not the wrecking crew. And I think that today we've got to recognize and think, like, are the ways that we've been going forward that have not shown us the progress that we want, do we need to divorce ourselves from that and figure out a better way to think outside the box, to think and recognize that the images that we saw of men and women of different races marching together, arm in arm, not just in terms of Selma, not just in terms of Washington, but in terms of Minnesota, that is what we've seen and where we have come. Have we honestly gone too far to turn back now? I believe we have. I believe, though, that in terms of not turning back, we do need to glance back and recognize that others have been where we are today and they got out of it. And the way that they got out of it was figuring out how to not just push up against the system, but to figure out how to appeal to other people's hearts. And part of that appeal, sometimes it's language, sometimes it's action, sometimes it's both. And I think that overall, I would love to see on the days leading up to November 3rd, that we see our churches and our communities coming together and marching, but not marching just to say we shall overcome, but marching together, arm in arm, to go and vote.
Thank you, Brother Atiba. I appreciate you so much. Happy 4th of July to you.
Happy 4th to you too, Jesse.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. When we come forward, we'll be in the World House with Dr. Johnny Mack. Our very special guest will be Dr. Walter Fluker. An interesting conversation, I expect, on this July 4th. Dr. Mack is a King Scholar, eminent. Dr. Walter Fluker, a Howard Thurman Scholar, eminent. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling is stepping down July 13th after 38 years on the force.
When we've already had countless teen trends, street takeovers, multiple mass shootings.
Alderman Ray Lopez praised Snelling's work, but says the timing is bad with summer shootings and teen gatherings on the rise. A federal judge is blocking President Trump's order restricting mail-in ballots from being carried out nationwide. Trump signed the order earlier this year ahead of the midterms, prompting lawsuits from Democratic-led states and the NAACP. A Washington, D.C. judge ruled Wednesday that the Postal Service cannot enforce the order in any state. And Tennessee Republican Senate leaders are asking Governor Bill Lee to halt executions after a failed lethal injection attempt. Prison staff were unable to execute Tony Carruthers, who was black, on May 21st, prompting Lee to call it off and grant a one-year reprieve. It's BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
PCH is open. Take the 101 freeway to Canaan Road. Malibu is open for business. Enjoy a scenic drive through the mountains and return to the beautiful beach. A beach day is always a better day. It's open and waiting for you.
Sponsored by Recreation Alliance.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The U.S. men's soccer team is in the Sweet 16 of the World Cup for the first time since 2002. They shut out Bosnia 2-0 in Santa Clara to move past the round of 32. The U.S. plays Belgium Monday night in Seattle. The Dodgers are back in town tonight to start a 10-game homestand. They're coming off a 7-2 road trip. The Dodgers take on San Diego tonight in the first game of a 4-game series. The Padres are 12 games behind the Dodgers in the NL West. The Dodgers still have the best record in Major League Baseball at 56-31. On the first day of free agency in the NBA, the Lakers did not waste any time to rebuild their roster after being kicked to the curb by LeBron. The Lakers made a trade for Utah's 7-foot center Walker Kessler and signed 3 veteran forwards as free agents. As for LeBron, NBA sources claim the 23-year veteran is going to take his time before deciding on his new team. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.